All right, we're here for our Clean Technica YouTube show. Gonna start trying to do these ideally daily if we can, but we'll see what's possible. Weekly might even be hard, but we're gonna get started today with talking about Tesla's quarterly report out this week, sort of the news of the week. I've got Steve Hanley here with me. I'm Zach Shahan, and yeah, we're just gonna riff and see what we have to say about this that we haven't already put into words on cleantechnica.com, or probably have already put into words there. Steve, what's your first takeaway or thoughts from this quarter's? And before I get your thoughts on this quarter's, I'm curious, how long have you been following Tesla's quarterly reports?
For about 10 years now.
About 10 years, yeah. Because I know I started covering Tesla when the Model S came out in 2012, and have been, I think, more or less covering these quarterly reports the whole time. So yeah, it's been a long, wild ride. But what are your thoughts on this quarter's report, and all the news around Tesla, what it means for Tesla and its mission?
Well, the the actual number of cars delivered was fine. Matter of fact, I think it was a record if I'm correct for the third quarter. But what's troubling is that the income was down 37%. And there's a number of reasons for that. One of the reasons is that Tesla is now no longer able to collect credits or sell credits to other companies because the federal government has wiped out the fuel economy standards, so there's no more credits to be sold. And quite frankly, that was a significant part of Tesla's income for the last 12 years, and now it's gone. Um, the,
Yeah,
the,
it's actually I was wondering for ages, like, what portion of Tesla's regulatory credits come from the U.S. And then when I was covering this, there was Financial Times said, based on one of their reports, that about 3/4 of Tesla's regulatory credit income comes from the U.S., and it was down 44% year over year, but it was still $420 million. So that's still almost $500 million that could go away. And if you just say, like, I don't know what portion of that is the U.S. still. I mean, still probably the bulk of it, but I don't know how that has lagged based, like, how much they were able to still be making from the U.S. Because yeah, I don't know, they had contracts locked in with other automakers before Republicans decided to basically say they're not going to enforce any fuel economy regulations.
well,
But for sure, it's like that was, without those, they would have not made a profit in the first quarter, and I think the second quarter. So it's a big question going forward how much that's going to hurt their bottom line.
your uh, your mention of lag has many ramifications. There are so many lags here. Third quarter sales were undoubtedly juiced by the number of people who were trying to get in on the federal tax credit before it expired. That applied to virtually every automaker that sells EVs in the United States. Everybody enjoyed a great third quarter. Um, and now we'll find out starting next quarter and going forward into 2026. Without those incentives, this is terra incognita. We don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah, I'm trying to find, actually, because I was just rolling through report after report from different auto brands on how much their sales increased as a result of the tax credit expiring. GMC's U.S. EV sales grew 84%. Honda's EV sales in the U.S. grew 76%. Audi's grew 232%. Volkswagen's grew 231%. So you can see that there was massive growth across the EV sector. Tesla's sales were, like, actually barely up. And of course, we don't have the US numbers. We have Tesla's global numbers because it doesn't report US numbers. Something that used to seem a little more innocuous, a little less of an issue when it was, like, just growing. Now it's really like really annoying, extra annoying because you're like what portion of, how did the US sales do compared to last, But for sure compared to the growth in the other brands with EV sales, Tesla's growth was like minuscule. So with that tax credit going away, I mean, there's a serious question of how far they drop in the fourth quarter, right? So, I mean,
Absolutely.
and so well, I was transitioning us now into this. Like, you wrote the article about how it's not really even, um, not even trying to portray itself as a car company almost anymore, going forward. And I'll let you talk about that. But the question is sort of like, even if it is able to transition into an AI and robotaxi and I guess that is the car element, but AI, robotaxi, and robot company, it's using money from selling cars to fund this stuff. The AI business is losing a gargantuan amount of money every quarter. The robotaxi business at Tesla is not making money; it's taking money big time. Same with the robots. So all of this is taking money, and it needs a ramp of funding before it's theoretically even going to be profitable. Um, And the question is like, what if that ramp just gets chopped right off by Tesla having a big sales drop in the fourth quarter, first quarter of next year, etc. But yeah, I'll let you talk about that and also just the broader point of like the article you wrote.
Let me say this. Elon's performance yesterday in the earnings call really seemed like he's totally lost interest in selling automobiles. He's moved on to such other stuff. He's got all this wonderful things that are going to happen. You can argue that Tesla originally um, operated at a loss while they were doing their production ramp up, that eventually they did start breaking even, and then they started making some good money. And of course, that's entirely possible with these new ventures. But as you say, what if it doesn't? And if they're depending on income and profit from the sales of automobiles and their sales of automobiles is going down or falling off a cliff, then where's the money going to come from to support these adventures into robotics, both for automobiles and personal robots and artificial intelligence? And I'm not a financial analyst, but I would think that some people would be concerned, and justifiably so.
Yeah, two separate issues here. One, I know people who are invested in Tesla who don't believe in the AI and robotaxi part of Tesla, but they still just think Tesla's going to win on EVs. And Elon has been saying for a few years, like, you shouldn't be invested in Tesla if you don't believe in the AI and robotaxi, you know, business at Tesla, because that's what the future of Tesla is all about. And it's nothing without that. I mean, he's basically said that repeatedly. But I feel like this quarter is the first time where it's got to really hit home. I would think. I would expect, because it's like there was some expectation. Okay, Tesla's going to roll out some new models, despite all the negative media coverage about them dropping the affordable Tesla. They are bringing out some affordable Teslas, and they're still working on other models. And so we've seen the decontented Model 3 and Model Y are like not new models. These are just new cheap trims that are probably not going to sell very well. And then there's no other affordable Tesla coming, from what I gathered from listening to the conference call and reading the report. Like, there's no word of, oh, we're also still working on a cheaper Tesla. Like, that was killed like a year and a half or 2 years ago, I think, from what I understand. And that's just like, if you were banking on that, like, that's gone. Like, that's not part of the story. He actually like was very clear on the call, saying the next big production ramp, next big production ramp and launch is the Cybercab next year. So it's like, and he said, and that won't have a steering wheel. So it's like, if you really think they're gonna keep focusing on cars, like you said, he doesn't have any interest in developing like normal cars anymore and selling them, and that's how it is. So that's one issue. The second issue is that, on the positive, if you're optimistic about Tesla still, more broadly. Kyle Field, our colleague, has written about this in one of the comments, and I think Paul Foss has the same kind of idea. And this is basically the people who I know who I respect and think that they follow the story well, but they have a different opinion. Their take is basically that Tesla is a big car company, but it's also like 6 or 7 startups. And the real future of Tesla is whether these startups within the company are going to succeed. And they assume that that like Tesla, like SpaceX, that Elon Musk is going to get these to success, and funding these startups within Tesla means, big future profits and potential for Tesla. Um,
Unless they get spun off out of Tesla, and then what are the shareholders left with?
yeah, if they get spun off, yeah, that is a yeah, that's something that doesn't really get talked about too much because they've got the XAI team, and they've got people who have been just even working at Tesla who have gone to do work at Twitter or X and SpaceX and different things at different times. But like, who's to say they don't just spin off another company? But just sticking with the idea that Tesla is a startup incubator. You want to say anything on that?
They were a startup incubator when they were first founded, and it went pretty well. So maybe we shouldn't be totally pessimistic. Uh, but on the other hand, the whole artificial intelligence thing, in my opinion, is way overblown. And the reports that I see online from pretty reputable sources like Forbes and Fortune and Bloomberg, there's a lot of people saying this is a bubble. This is going to burst. Now, I am not a financial analyst, and I don't have any stock interest in any of these companies. But it feels like Aaron, Alan Greenspan's irrational exuberance all over again.
Yeah, and so with Tesla initially as a electric car company, the argument is there was an opening in the market, no one was taking it, the timing was right, the investment was right, the work was right, and Tesla won. They succeeded. Similar with the battery business, it spun out of it's part of Tesla as well now. Not so much the solar business, where they've just basically dropped their solar output quarter after quarter for years now. But the argument I see some people make is like, this is not the case with the robots and robotaxis. There are a bunch of players clearly in the market. These are new markets that sort of have to be developed. It's not like you're just replacing a internal combustion engine car with an electric car. It's more of a case of, oh, there's this idea that they're opening new markets. But yeah, it's a lot to bet on. And there's a lot of people who just believe that they've got the best talent. Elon's leadership is great on this tech stuff, even if it's not on other stuff. And they will find a way to succeed. And then there's other people like, there's no way they're competing with the Chinese, with other companies that are further along or that use different technological approaches, like Waymo will say, and that there's just no way that Tesla isn't a bubble itself because of that.
Well, I wrote this morning, we remember the day that the reservations opened for the Model 3, and there were people all around the world standing in line for hours, some of them in snow and rain and hail, just so they could put in a reservation for this exciting new car. That was, I mean, we were all caught up in that. We were thought that this is the greatest thing since sliced bread, and Tesla is. Maybe they're not making a profit right now, but oh golly, they are going to be something special in the future. I don't see people banging on the door to buy these humanoid robots.
Yeah, it's a great point because if you think about when Tesla started as a car company, a lot of excitement developed around the Model S and Model X, but they did, Tesla wasn't profitable with these. They weren't making profits with these, even when they became very popular premium class cars that just outdid BMWs and Mercedes in the class. Even then, though, you had to sink so much in, and get up to a high production level with the Model 3 before they were a profitable company. And like you said, like I was there at 6 a.m. in I think it was Santa Clara, California, where I'd never been before, to put in my reservation. It was a long line of people. Some, famous YouTuber from Norway was there in that line. There was a guy who actually was on the Plug in America team that actually got us the first U.S. EV tax credit. Uh, helped make that happen. Um, and it was just like, yeah, it was this whole like revolution. If Tesla even had a robot for sale, which they won't for a long time, but if they had one for sale next week, and there wouldn't be the long lines around Tesla stores to go buy one, because it would cost a fortune. It wouldn't be useful enough to be worth the cost. It would be at the best like at the Tesla Roadster level of products for a buyer. Um, so like you said, there's not that huge potential. I mean, some people argue there is in factories, there is in industrial uses, and Tesla will use them and develop them, but that seems like even in the best case scenario so far off. And
Well,
again,
there's
I just come back to that question, like they have to have the financial funding to ride this ramp up for these things. And the biggest hope is like that they will be able to turn all their cars into robotaxis at the beginning of next year. Again, like I just don't see that happening. So it's very hard to like people want us to continue to be positive about Tesla or not be too critical of their approach. But it's like it's just hard to see. Like it was so easy to see the path with the Model 3. It was so easy to see that path for years coming and the momentum that built under it. It's so it's it just feels like more like a stock market bubble than an actual like path to a huge revolutionary new product to me. But I'll let you have the final word. Then we gotta run to our different things.
well, I think you make a good point, and it was in the news yesterday that Amazon is going to fire 600,000 fact fulfillment center workers and delivery people and replace them with robots. Everybody's gaga about robots. Robots are going to do this and robots are going to do that. And AI is going to be wonderful. And who's going to be working and who's going to be making money? Elon just tosses out at the Q3 earnings call, oh, well, there'll be no more poverty and we're all going to be healthy. How? How is that going to happen? That sounds like some politician with a pie in the sky. Don't worry about it. Everything's going to be great. And I don't see any basis to it.
Yeah, this was. I gotta find that quote again because yeah, that was to me the most wild comment from the conference call. I I mean, it's bonkers. This is the actual quote. This is what he says, and like a really like not like he's hyping it up, but like in a really sort of calm and kind of mm, measured and thoughtful way, like that you would expect. And he was even like sort of he wasn't like exuberant. He was just sort of, but he said you can actually create a world where there is no poverty, where everyone has access to the finest medical care. Optimus will be an incredible surgeon, for example, and imagine if everyone had access to an incredible surgeon. So this robot is going to somehow pull everyone out of poverty. Ideally, eventually it will cost $40,000, but it will start at a much higher price, by the way.
Well, I think you have to keep in mind, Zach, that
And
uh,
it will do surgery on you if you need it. Like this is like crazy level. This is like kindergarten level dreaming. And I was just like, what? I was like, what?
I
Like
think you have.
what is
I think
this comment? Like completely ignoring that poverty is mostly a social and political issue. And some of our readers like pointed out like, oh, we don't really have that issue over here in Europe or some other places. I mean, there is poverty in Europe still, but yeah, I don't know. It's crazy.
uh, Elon, being the wealthiest person in the world, has absolutely no idea what ordinary people are dealing with in their daily life. It kind of reminds me of the first George Bush who went to a supermarket and was amazed that they had little scanners that would help you to total up how much he was just like, I've never seen anything like this before. Well, of course not. He'd never go shopping for groceries. How would he know? And Elon is, and I have to say it, I put it in my article this morning, but it's just, he seems like a P.T. Barnum kind of person. And the one thing that came to me this morning was go back to W.C. Fields' movie in the 40s, Never Give a Sucker an Even Break. Boy, that to me, that's what I think of when I see Elon. He is focused 100% on getting that $1 trillion payday, and he will do whatever it takes to get there.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard, it's hard to believe some of these kind of statements, but I also feel like he makes the wildest statements when he's under the most pressure. And it makes me wonder a little bit, like, he didn't seem super stressed on the call like he has on some calls, but I wonder, like, how much he thinks about what if this doesn't work on time, or what if this doesn't work as I expect. Like, how much he doesn't sort of let himself think that, it seems, but and then he'll just run away from that thought into the direction of, like, everyone will have a robot that can do surgery on them, and there will be no more poverty. And I was like, anyway, we have to save more for another day, but
I
yeah.
just want to say this is my honor, my honorarium to Joe Boris. Joe, we know you're out there someplace.
That's cool. What, did he wear that once before? I don't remember.
Well, he used to wear funny hats and stuff.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he did. He probably did wear those. All right. Thanks a lot, Steve. We'll chat soon.
Anytime, Zach. Bye.